eBay sellers. It's Suzanne A. Wells, and welcome back to another episode of eBay the Right Way. This is episode 16, and this podcast focuses on the smaller, at-home eBay seller, our struggles, our victories, a day in the life of what it's like to run an eBay business from your home among all the other things you're doing. And in this episode, I'm going to tackle the topic of small seller shaming. Basically, what I've been seeing on social media is a lot of emphasis on growing your business and getting it as large as you can and having thousands of items and hiring people. And that's just not right for everybody. Some of us prefer to be a solopreneur, keeping it small, keeping it manageable. I started selling on eBay in 2003, so I have run my business a lot of different ways. And what I want to share with you in this episode is the things I did and how they affected my business, how they worked or didn't work. And everybody's experience is different, but there are very specific reasons why I don't have a huge eBay business and I don't have people working for me, because I've been there and done that. And there are specific reasons I'm going to share with you when we get to that part of the podcast. So let's get into it. Today is Tuesday. I'm back on my regular self-imposed schedule. But I'll tell you, I've been so confused about what day it is since I got back from my spontaneous trip to Greenville to celebrate July 4th on the last weekend of June. That really messed up my timing. So here's a funny story. And my kids are calling this a senior moment, but I just call it being out of my normal routine. So I went to the grocery store last week, I think it was Thursday, and there was one of those pop-up fireworks things in the parking lot where you can buy your own fireworks, and they're everywhere. They're in grocery store parking lots, Target, Walmart parking lots, everywhere in Georgia. So, and there was a bunch of people in line to buy their fireworks. And I was like, why is this still here? And why are people still buying fireworks? 4th of July is over. And I just thought that was really odd and I couldn't figure it out. And then about 30 minutes later, I realized, oh, right. 4th of July has not happened yet. I celebrated it early. So I was just really confused because I don't normally celebrate holidays a week before they happen. But I will say that my first 4th of July in my mountaintop home was a win. And if you've watched my YouTube videos, you can see the view. And I measured it with a compass, and my view is from 179 degrees south to 270 degrees west. So that's quite a big chunk of the horizon with an unobstructed view. I can actually see Kennesaw Mountain from my location in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is about 40 miles away. So on a clear day, I can see that and I know how far away it is. I can also see Stone Mountain, which is about 50 miles to the south. So I didn't know what to expect for 4th of July fireworks, but I saw the most amazing fireworks show for 2 nights, the 3rd and the 4th, for like 2 hours. And it was all above the tree line in different directions 40 to 50 miles away. And it was just so cool to watch because it was all different kind of fireworks in all different directions. You could tell the ones were further away because I would hear the sound after the fireworks went off. So you'd hear it, but you wouldn't see it. So that was a little confusing. But I did try to video it to put it on my YouTube channel, but it just didn't turn out very well because it was, dark and the fireworks were pretty far away. But for next year, I'm absolutely going to have a 4th of July gathering and fireworks viewing from my porch because it was really something to see. And I just wasn't expecting that at all. Okay, moving on to the YouTube update. I did post my sales update video from June and revealed the $225 item I bought for $1 that is in my BOLO, Be on the Lookout handbook. So if you did not see the big reveal, you can check that out on my YouTube channel. And of course, shared a bunch of other sales that have notable commentary. And what I try to do there is give other sellers the backstory, more information so that you can apply it to your business and we can all make more money. But one thing I talked about is my business model, how I do eBay, because there's as many different ways to do eBay as there are eBay sellers. There's no right or wrong way. And I'm going to get into that more in just a minute, but there was a really nice comment by YouTube viewer Queen of Hearts Charnel. And she says, I love that you share your business model with us. That has become my mantra, actually. It's how I explain to other people what it is that I am either successful at or not so successful at. It really does not matter what anyone else thinks about what I buy or sell. If it fits my business model, then I am really the only one that matters. It keeps me on target. And I wish I could love that comment like 1,000 times because I think sellers, well, let me rephrase that. I know for a fact that sellers who I interact with on social media or who email me or students in my school tend to compare themselves to other people, especially on social media. When you see somebody shipping 50 things they sold in one day, that kind of hurts sometimes when maybe you only had 1 or 2 things to ship. You think, well, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not selling as much as this person? And just keep in mind, when you see stuff like that, people on YouTube and people in general on social media only really show you what they want you to see. So you don't know how much money somebody made when they're selling or shipping 50 items. They could have only made $1 on each item. They may not be keeping their numbers at all and not even know how much profit they're making. That is a huge, I don't want to say problem, but that's a huge thing in the eBay seller world is people don't keep track of their numbers. So they don't know how much they're making or more importantly, how much money they might be losing. So just don't compare yourself to other people. Look at what you're doing. Is it enriching your life? Are you making money? Are you happy doing this business? Because if you're not happy with it, you're not going to do it very long. It's very hard to sustain a job or a business that you don't like doing. At some point, you're going to burn out. You're going to not want to do it anymore. And that's one of the reasons I keep my business, my eBay store, small, is because I don't want to burn out. And I can look back at my life and see times that I did burn out doing things that I enjoyed because I didn't pace myself. I know that about myself. I tend to dive in head first and go as long and as hard as I can, and then it's just, I can't do it anymore. So I don't want that to happen. So the bottom line here of this rambling is do what works for you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. If you're not paying attention to your business, then nobody is going to be paying attention to your business. Just stay in your own lane, do your own thing, and don't compare yourself to other sellers, especially on social media, because you're not getting the whole story. You're just getting what they want you to see. Okay, moving on to something new I learned this week. This has nothing to do with eBay, but with enriching my life. When I was visiting with my friend in Greenville, she and her husband were making homemade ice cream with their ice cream maker. And this is not something I was raised with. I know that's a thing in a lot of families, but our family just didn't do it. And I just thought the process was fascinating. And then it dawned on me that I could do this and make my own keto-friendly ice cream. There's tons of recipes online. And I have been eating the kind in the grocery store that's pre-made, and it's just not great. It's Halo Top, Enlightened, Rebel. I've tried all the brands. It's really expensive, and it's not that great. And so it never dawned on me to just make it myself so that it works with my ketogenic diet, which if you watched my health video on my YouTube channel back in November of 2020, I explained all about my health crisis and how I turned my health around and actually reversed type 2 diabetes, lost weight, feel great, don't take any medications, all of that. And basically what I do is intermittent fasting of 15 to 20 hours a day, a ketogenic diet, and superfoods. So I did all this research on ice cream makers, and I do remember people having the kind where it's the big bucket and the top has the motor on it, so the top turns. But now they make them where the bowl that you put the ingredients in is filled with some kind of fluid that freezes. So you put it in the freezer for 24 hours before you actually make the ice cream. And that's what freezes it. So it's like this new technology, and so many videos on YouTube about how to do it and recipes, and so much available online. And so that's what I've been researching all week, which is timely because it is July and ice cream is great in the summer. But that's just something I've never done. And I was just thrilled to realize, like, the light bulb came on, duh. You can make your own, and it's so much cheaper, and you can control the ingredients, and it can work. So it's like you can have your cake, or in this case, your ice cream, and eat it too. So that's just going to be fun. And I'll share some of that on my YouTube channel, showing y'all what I made. But that's the hardest part of a no sugar diet is, I mean, sometimes you do want a treat. And the longer you don't eat sugar, when you do eat it, it really does make you sick. It makes you feel bad. And so it's like I just can't go back to that at this point. I need to make my own keto-friendly stuff. And so that was what I learned this week that was really exciting and life-enriching. Okay, moving on to what happened in my eBay store this week. Not a lot to report. Week before last was crazy busy, and then it just sort of stopped. Somebody hit the brakes, and I didn't sell very much. I sold a few swimsuits and odds and ends. The really big sale was on July 5th. I sold a Vineyard Vines Dunkin' Donuts patterned men's tie. And I knew when I found it, this was going to go for a lot of money because it was just so unique. So I paid $3 for that at Goodwill about a month ago, and it sold for full asking price of $149.97. And I knew it would go to New England because Massachusetts is the home and headquarters of Dunkin' Donuts, and that is exactly what happened. It went to Massachusetts. So I priced it so high because I looked on Terapeak. There was not another one just like it for the past year. There were no active listings just like it. There wasn't another one on the internet anywhere. And this particular one didn't even come up in a Google image search. So that tells me it's unique. And because of that, it would sell for a high price. So how did I come up with that price? That's a long story. But I'm totally happy with that sale. $3 into $150. A very lightweight item, easy to ship, unique item that probably won't be returned because it's so unique. That's what I'm looking for. This was like the poster child item for my business model because it's small, cheap, $3, sold for $150, didn't take up much room to store, sold within a month, and was very unusual. So that's what I look for when I'm outsourcing. I've gotten really picky on what I buy to resell because at some point my store is going to transition to mostly high dollar items. We always have some that don't really meet our business model exactly, but that's what I'm trying to do is more money, fewer items, less work so that I can enjoy life and not be glued to my computer all the time. Okay, and now it is time for the vocabulary builder. This week's word is duvet, D-U-V-E-T. And people get this confused with a comforter. And once again, I want to emphasize that I'm not doing these vocabulary builders to shame anyone or to sound like I am a micromanaging eBay seller. But it's so important to use the same words that your buyers are using. Because if you don't, then your listing's not going to come up in search. So if you're calling a duvet a comforter and someone is searching for duvet, they're not going to see your listing. So this is meant to help you and to help your listings be seen. Now, the main difference between a duvet and a comforter is that a comforter is just one piece of bedding, while a duvet requires two separate pieces, an insert and a cover. A comforter is usually quilted with the filling evenly distributed, while a duvet has an insert that works as the fill. The insert fits into the duvet cover like a pillow would fit into a pillowcase. And you might think, this seems very unnecessary, but a comforter is ready to use once you buy it. It does not need a duvet cover or cover of any kind. However, you can use a duvet cover on a comforter if you wish. Some people do this if they want to protect the comforter from getting dirty, because you can just take off the duvet cover and wash that, and then put it back on. A comforter can work as the insert for the duvet. While you can certainly use a duvet cover on a comforter, it's not necessary. So this might work in a lot of different situations, like children's bedding or something like that, where you are going to wash it more frequently, and you can just take the cover off of the comforter and wash that and put it back on. But it's really important to know what you have. So it's just like a giant pillowcase, but the correct word is duvet, D-U-V-E-T. So if you have any of these listed and you're not calling it a duvet, you can go back into those listings and edit them and add that word, and hopefully buyers will find your listing. Okay, moving on to the premium library. I have been working along on the bra course. There is now a total of 6 segments, 1.5 hours in length total. So if you've been waiting for more to be added, now would be a good time to go check out that course because there's a lot there. And last week I added the part about all the things to look for when you are out shopping for pre-owned bras to sell, meaning your inspection checklist. And there's actually a downloadable document you can print out, keep it with you, because there's a lot of points that you want to check on to make sure that everything is in working order. And this segment basically just tells you what to keep and what to throw back. Now, another thing that has been asked for is actually going to happen. I have committed to adding more shipping videos about how to make your own box. That is a skill I would like to improve because I just haven't really ever practiced doing it. And as I move into more hard goods and not as much clothing, the skill is becoming more and more important. And this topic has been a common request from members in the premium library, so I am now going to tackle it. There are a lot of videos on YouTube showing how to cut a piece of flat cardboard into the exact size box you need. And I'm just fascinated with people that can do this so quickly. And they use the item to take the measurements, like they flip the item around and then make these slices with a box cutter. And it's almost like origami with cardboard. And it's just fascinating to me. So I want to learn how to do that. And then break that down for my students and teach it the Suzanne way so it's easier to follow, because some of these box mavens on YouTube, they do it so fast and they don't really explain what they're doing. So it's hard to follow and it seems like intimidating, or do you have to know a lot of math and geometry to do it? And you really don't. So I'm working on that, and by popular demand, I'm going to have more of how do I ship this thing videos. But at this point, I have a few Frankenboxing videos as far as how to make a media mailer, how to Frankenbox a cylindrical item, how to Frankenbox games and puzzles, knives and knife sets, a long flat item, or a tall item. So I've got a few in there, but we're just going to work on creating more. And if you aren't familiar with the term Frankenboxing, it's just reseller lingo for make your own box. And this is a really important skill because I see sellers, especially new sellers, they have this anxiety about, I'm not going to have the right box to ship this in. what do I do if I don't have the right box? Or feel like you have to box everything as you list it because you might not have the right box on hand. So instead of focusing on that and having that anxiety, how about learn a skill where you can make a box anytime you need it? And then you have confidence in yourself that you can do that. And you don't have to worry all the time about keeping all these boxes on hand or not having the right one when you need it, or what am I going to do if this sells really fast and I don't have the right box. Let's just shift the focus to, instead of, giving you a fish, we're going to teach you how to fish, and then you can make what you need anytime you need it. But of course, there are as many ways to ship things as there are sellers. There's no right or wrong ways. But, the point is that you need to have the confidence that you can do it. And we're going to build up that shipping confidence so that you don't worry about it all the time, because there's more things in life to think about that are way more fun than how to make a box. So we're going to tackle that. Okay, main topic of the video is why it's okay to be a solopreneur, which means just an entrepreneur by yourself, and why I run my business the way I do. And there is a misconception out there that you have to have gigantic inventory and work on your eBay business like 10 hours a day to be successful. And I will say, in the past 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of people coming to YouTube, and this is their mindset, is that, everyone should have these huge stores. Look at me, I've got this huge store, and that's just not necessary. Some of the information out there stresses that all sellers should be moving towards being a huge seller and hiring help. Well, I have been down that road and it was not for me. So I want to share some real experiences that I have had with hiring help, the different things I hired people for, and how it all worked. Some of you might be considering this, and some of you might not, but that's okay. You don't have to be any more than a solopreneur. There's a lot to be said for being in charge of every decision and every part of your business and just handling it yourself. And there's absolutely no shame in staying small, doing it yourself, and being completely happy with it. Some of the most successful sellers on my Facebook group that post on Money Making Mondays and the $100 sales posts have less than 100 items for sale all the time. I'm going to give a shout out to George Kelly. He is retired and he has experience in running estate sales. And he admits he only has about 50 items listed at a time because that's all he wants to deal with. Now, he will also admit that he has a large stockpile of items to list. But if you look at his sales, he is an exceptional seller. He has a lot of knowledge, and this is the way he runs his business. And I kind of want to be George Kelly when I grow up because he just has it all figured out. So we're going to stop small seller shaming and bust the myth that you always should want to grow your business larger and have people working for you, because that's just not right for everybody. And here I'm referring to hiring someone outside of your household or your family. So we're not talking about your significant other or your children or your mom. This is like you would hire a stranger as if you were hiring for a real job out in the world. So here's some things I did and what happened. First, I tried to hire a photographer. And this was back probably in 2009, 2010. And the word on the street about hiring an eBay photographer was that you should ask around at the local college, university, community college, whatever's around you, and try to hire a photography student. That was somebody's advice that I read. So I was like, well, that makes sense. Okay. So I did that. I found somebody, and she came to my house for one day. And the problem there was you don't want like a photography expert photographing your eBay stuff. You want somebody who is time efficient, can follow directions, and can get a lot done. Because my experience was the photography students are all worried about the lighting and setting up the shot and, doing all this lifestyle photography. And it's like, this person only got like 3 items done in an hour. And I was paying her by the piece, not by the hour, because you never want to pay by the hour if you're doing piecework, because, the incentive is for the person to do more work because they're going to get paid more. So she just couldn't get past her photographer DNA and realized, you know what, this is not going in the Smithsonian. Hopefully this will only be online for a short time. We just need to show what it is, any flaws. I had the mannequin set up. She was doing clothing, and that was it just didn't work. I just told her at the end of the day, I don't think this job is right for you. You have a lot of great photography skills. Maybe you need to go try to get a job at a magazine or the town newspaper, something like that. eBay was just not a good fit for that person's skills. So I kind of gave up on that idea. Then I moved into, I should hire somebody to do just random things for me. I just needed an assistant to get more done. So I wrote a Craigslist ad and I interviewed some different people. I met them like at a coffee shop or whatever and interviewed them and found one that seemed to be a good fit. And I trained her for 2 days. I was going to have her actually post my listings. I thought, well, maybe I'm going about this at the wrong angle and I need somebody to do more of the computer part. And so I taught her how to do a listing, and I think we put them into drafts at the time. I don't think scheduled listings were even a thing yet. So, it was fine. I thought everything was fine. And she came for 2 days. I spent 2 entire 6-hour days training her, explaining this. I had materials written out, like little checklists and, directions. Like if she forgot what to do, she could refer to the paper, like you would have an employee handbook at, a job out in the real world. So I had everything she needed there. And then on the 3rd day, she just didn't show up. I called, she didn't answer. She just completely ghosted me. And so, great. I have wasted 12 hours of my time training someone that disappeared. And I was just like, really? That is so rude and so unprofessional. You can't even just call and say, hey, this isn't going to work for me. I don't like this work. Sorry, I'm not coming back. Nothing. But, there's just that kind of people out there that they're just unprofessional and cowardly, and they're not going to have any kind of confrontation. So the wind went out of my sails at that point, and just, okay, great. I didn't want that to happen again. So then the thing became outsourcing overseas, specifically India and the Philippines. So I thought, well, maybe I should try that, because at that point I was writing articles for the Examiner. I had a blog. I had my eBay business. I was doing the coaching on the phone all day, and was selling on Amazon. So I had a lot going on. And I thought, well, if I could hire someone to do some of this administrative stuff, post my blog articles, do research on things that I wanted to write blog posts about. Social media was just getting started. I was on Twitter, and, I came up with very specific tasks for this person to do. So he was in India, and it went along pretty well for the first couple of weeks. Well, then he started running my business the way he thought it should be run, and saying the things he wanted to say, and didn't do what I told him to do. And, he would write the blog article based on his opinions. And, he never lived in the United States. He didn't know how to talk to eBay sellers in the USA. And it was just a disaster. So I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to do that. So let him go. Okay, so then I decided, well, outsourcing isn't for me. They have to understand my business. They have to understand the United States. So I need to hire somebody in the United States, because they had to talk about, the post office here, and, all those factors that are unique to the United States. So I hired a woman as my personal virtual assistant, and gave her some tasks to do on social media, posting articles, blog posts, answering emails from my coaching clients. And she was an eBay seller too, so she understood the business and knew how to talk about it. But that went on for a few months, and then I started getting signs that she wasn't doing her job. Like, she wasn't posting anything on Twitter. She wasn't answering emails. She just stopped doing her job and disappeared. She wouldn't answer emails. She wouldn't answer her phone. Her phone actually was disconnected. And like everything just blew up and fell apart because she just walked away. She was still out there because I would see her on social media, but she just ghosted me. And I had been paying her to do all this work for a couple of weeks, and she hadn't done it. And I had her on payroll. So, she just walked away. And so to me, that's the same as stealing. When you are on payroll and you're not doing the work that you're being paid to do, that's the same as stealing from somebody. So I had to take some legal action against her, and it was just this big mess. And I was like, I'm just not going to, I just don't want other people's hands in my business because they keep screwing it up. And it was very frustrating because, I wanted to hire people and give them work, and especially women, because I believed in what I was doing. I was very passionate about eBay and teaching eBay. And so I was trying to include more people in my successful business. So then I went at it from a different angle and I decided, you know what? I'm going to do all the work. At that point, still a single mom. My kids were middle school, I think. My oldest, my daughter, was learning to drive, so high school. So my son was in middle school, my daughter was in high school. And I thought, well, what if I hired someone I know and trust to help me with parenting and household stuff, and then I just do the business stuff and don't let anybody stick their hands in that and mess it up. So one of my dearest friends from life and everything, we met each other in first grade. She was in my wedding, lived close to me. and we'd just been close friends our whole lives. And so I thought, she was out of a job at the time. So I was like, I could pay her to come over and do, errand running, go to the grocery store for me, cook our dinner, run the kids around to their activities and stuff. And she actually helped my daughter learn to drive, because my daughter and I just butted heads, and it was just not a good situation, me teaching her to drive. So that was a huge help. And that worked for a while. It was just great to have her in my home, and my kids loved her. And, she'd come over and cook food that, like, I didn't ever cook for us. It was nice to have kind of like a personal chef that would come in the afternoons and do all these things. So that's one thing that worked very well, was hiring someone to do all of the non-business stuff, the personal stuff. She folded laundry. She took my dogs out to walk them. She did everything. So it was like a personal assistant. And I think that came to an end because she got a job and she couldn't do it anymore. She got, a real job out in the world. So I didn't know of anybody else to hire to do that I knew and trusted, because at this point, it was all about trust. I just didn't trust people anymore. And, to hire them to do things, because I'd had all these situations where it didn't work or people ghosted me, and I just wasn't going to do that anymore. So at one point, I had 11 people working for me at one time, and I had been promoted through the coaching program so that I was not only coaching, but managing other coaches. So the 11 people included 6 people I managed through the coaching program, helping them put out fires with their clients, or helping them figure out how to help a client succeed, all those roadblocks. When you're a manager, you're solving other people's problems. And then I had, I think I had a high school kid in the neighborhood photographing my eBay items. And then I had 2 people helping with packing and labeling my FBA shipments to Amazon. I had a virtual assistant, the one that disappeared, and then that personal assistant that came to my house. So my life became all about managing people and not about reselling. It was stressful, and it wasn't fun anymore. And I started to doubt myself, like, oh, I'm a terrible manager because I don't like managing people, and I never wanted to hurt anybody's feelings. And, I would just do the work myself instead of telling someone they did something wrong. And, I was avoiding confrontation and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, wait a minute. I miss going to Goodwill and finding things to sell. I miss interacting with my eBay customers and seeing how excited they get when I have something they want to buy, or, they leave feedback about how thrilled they are with something. And so I'm just not cut out to be a manager. I don't want to be a manager. I want to do the business. I want to go treasure hunting. I want to bring these items home and rescue them and make them pretty so that I can sell them, and, hear from my customers that they love what they bought from me. That's how I'm wired. I'm not wired to solve other people's problems all day and manage people. I just don't think that's why I was put on this earth. I like helping other people succeed, such as in eBay selling, helping them work through situations that it's so easy for me because I've done it 1,000 times. Like, I know the answer right away, and I can tell you, and you do that thing that I told you, and your problem is solved and everybody's happy. So I said all of this to say that hiring people and managing people is not for everyone, and it's not as easy as it sounds, because It's hard dealing with people. Customers are one thing, but when you're paying someone to do a job for you and you have to get into all this management stuff, that can be very stressful and time consuming. And that's just not the way I want to spend my time. I want to get out there and shop and find fun things. And then when I figure something out, I can tell these thousands of eBay sellers that listen to me and watch me on YouTube, and they can take that information and go be successful. That's what I want to do. So maybe you can even hear the passion in my voice when I talk about treasure hunting and rescuing items and reselling. That's where the passion is. So if you're having this struggle and you're not passionate about what you're doing every day, then change it. Figure out what lights your fire and what gets you excited every day. Like you can't wait to get to work every day. You can figure that out. You can do this too. Change is hard. Change is scary. Change is uncertain. But if you keep working on it and keep changing and shaping and molding your business into what you want to be, then it's just not like work. You know, eBay is kind of like a game. It's like, I'm going to go find stuff for $1 and then I want to sell it for $100. And that's what I'm doing now. That is how my eBay business is evolving. Okay, so that is my rant for the week. As always, I love your comments. You can email me, you can reach out on Facebook, or even comment on YouTube. I'm everywhere online. This is Suzanne A. Wells teaching you how to do eBay the right way. And make sure to follow me as new episodes are added every week. Be nice to each other. Make sure you are living the life you want. And of course, have a profitable and productive and fun day on eBay. Talk to you next week. Bye.